Themba, a very good morning. Thanks for joining us here on Weekend Dawn. I mean, when we look at that draft SAPS amendment bill that was supposed to close yesterday, the 27th of November, can you contextualize what it was all about, perhaps just before we continue with the discussion?
Yes, good morning. So the draft amendment bill is a bill that basically looks at the overhaul of the SAPS Act. Remember, the SAPS Act was put in place in 1995. So it's a pre-constitution kind of act. So in other areas, it is not properly aligned to the constitution. It's a pre-constitution legislation. So this amendment bill, it's an act that is basically looking at modernizing the SAPS. Remember, there is the NDP, which is very central to looking at how South Africa should look like in 2030. In 2030. So if you look at the SAPS amendment bill, it is trying to align the policing to the new thinking, new ways of doing things. So the Marikana, the panel of experts basically was looking at what is it that needs to be done to avoid situations like Marikana.
All right. So Themba, I mean, on that note, we now, see that the release of this report has been halted indefinitely. I mean, ultimately, come 2020, it will have marked 2 years since it was supposed to be issued. I mean, this could then affect the SAPS Act amendment bill. How so?
Like I'm saying that the panel report is perhaps the first report that looks very comprehensively, that reviews the policing in South Africa. So it's a comprehensive report that looks at issues around governance, issues around the leadership. It looks at operational issues within the SAPS. It looks at tactical issues within the SAPS. So it's quite a comprehensive report that was put together by several experts in policing, some of them international, with people from Australia, with people from Brazil, with people from Zimbabwe, and also local people that basically specialize on policing issues. So it's quite a comprehensive report, which we recognize that the SAPS is basically have used a lot of its recommendation in drafting the SAPS amendment bill. But now here is the problem. The problem is that now the public has been asked to comment on the amendment bill, but they do not have they're not privy to the report. No one has seen the report, which makes it a bit of a problem for anybody who is interested in policing issues to actually engage in a very meaningful way with the SAPS amendment bill in its current form.
Now, Themba, on that note, I mean, has the minister come out to respond, perhaps give reasons for this delay? And also for those watching, I mean, if you could just perhaps delve a little bit deeper into what the report aims to perhaps improve policing in South Africa at large. I mean, just reading some of the articles that had been written, we saw that linking back to the Marikana massacre that occurred back in 2012, I mean, police had access to R5 automatic rifles. And when we look at international best practices, that is not, something that they advocate in crowds, but also, as you alluded to, issues of governance and leadership at large. So with this report, I mean, how is it going to perhaps improve policing in South Africa at large?
You see now, the difficulty that I'm going to have now is speak to the report itself, because the report itself has not been made public. So it is still a report that belongs to the minister and government. That is where the problem lies at the moment, that we can't even reference the report because the report has not been made public. that makes it very difficult. That's why I think part of the posture that we're taking as civil society organization is to make sure that the report is released publicly so that we can engage with it. So because I'm privy to the report as having been the member of the panel, places us in a very difficult position to divulge what is contained in the report. But all I can say at the moment is that it is a very comprehensive report that looks comprehensively at a variety of issues that would have led to Marikana. The issues of leadership were very central in how leadership was provided during Marikana. The issues of accountability are very, very central. Issues of governance, very central. Technical issues, also very, very important in the way that police engaged with manners that were striking, but also operational issues, also very. So it's a review that is quite comprehensive. But if this report was released, would be speaking very freely in terms of exactly its content and what we think needs to change within the SAPS amendment bill. But at the moment, almost our hands are tied because the report has not been made public, and it belongs to government.
All right, Themba, I understand the predicament you are in, but I mean, there have been calls for the minister to release the report urgently. Can you walk us through who are some of the organizations, individuals at large who have come out for that call to release the report, rather? And when you look at the response from the minister, has there been any? I mean, this issue of police brutality is not something that that is new to South Africa, to the world at large. I mean, just this year alone, the spotlight was shone on police brutality through the hashtag Black Lives Matter movement that had been circulating the world over. So what has the minister's response been to that call to release that report urgently?
The minister has not provided any reasons why the release of the report in terms of the agenda in Parliament on the 25th was removed. So we're not privy to his thinking and his reasoning in terms of why that was done. But from our previous engagement, he didn't come across like he had difficulties in releasing the report. It felt like the minister was open to releasing the report. But we don't know why that was the issue was removed from the agenda of Parliament. But that said, a number of organizations are supporting the call. I mean, we're looking at organizations like Institute for Security Studies, for example, Gun Free South Africa, and many others. I would say the majority of organizations, 26 organizations that are working on issues around safety and policing, are supporting this. And they were aware as well that other organizations have applied for PR. They've made a PR application to access the report in the event the minister does not release the report. And also we had engagement with the former judge and the chair of the Marikana Commission of Inquiry, Judge Falam, who has released this report. So we think that there's a large number of organizations who are engaging with the SAPS amendment bill, and we had difficulties of engaging with the SAPS amendment bill purely because there is no source reference. They can't access the report. And if you look at the report, the amendment bill itself, it does make reference a lot to that report, but no one has seen the report, which makes it very difficult to.
All right, Themba, and I understand you cannot divulge further until that report is released. So I'm going to have to leave that conversation there. But as you alluded to, organizations, people, even former, Supreme Court of Appeal Judge Ian Falem also coming in to urgently have that report released. And when we look at the timelines for that, I mean, as you follow the steps from here and to, perhaps to get that report released, what do those timelines then look like from here and to?
In fact, it's about 2.5 years that we submitted the report to the minister. We're not privy to how the minister have engaged with the report, but the only public information that is available, if you look at the SAPS amendment bill, it does reference a lot the panel report, but also if you look at the SAPS annual report, it does talk to a lot of changes that have taken place as a result of the panel of experts report. For example, it makes reference to changes in the public order policing, both in terms of equipment and also both in terms of strength. That because that was a recommendation that was made, SAPS is engaged with the panel, and there are changes that are being made. But other than that, there's nothing else that is publicly available that one can talk to, that police have done and that was informed by the panel of expert report.
And Themba, I mean, just you and I having this conversation, you can see how difficult it is to unpack, because we have to wait for the report to be released before we can engage perhaps on a more comprehensive level. But I just want to thank you for your time.